love and discovering the constant beauty of this ever-changing world.
On this week's episode, Allie and Regan share their highs and lows for the week, their favorite movies, and two unlikely friends get adopted together. We also just wanted to give you a fair warning that there might be a triggering topic that we are discussing today. We'll be talking about the swatting calls and the school shootings that have been happening here in our country, so we hope that you will continue to listen to the episode, but also know that that content will be covered in today's episode. Welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. We are your navigators, Allison
and Regan. I don't know. I tried a little different inflection on that intro because I feel like every single episode of ours that I listen to, it's like, and Regan. And it's the same thing. I tried something different, but you know what? It didn't really work. It kind of sound the same. Anyways, happy Wildcard Wednesday, everybody. We hope you're in the midst of a great week. I know that lots of people have spring break this month. We have Easter. The flowers are blooming up here. Well, almost. We've got like little crocuses and things like that, but the weather is starting to get nicer, which means that we are all happier. Allie, how are you feeling so far this spring?
Phenomenal. It's been like high 60s, 70s, 80s one day. So I'm feeling ready for summer. And I hope that there's not like a random snowstorm because, you know, we do live in the Northeast and you never know when that's going to happen because I feel like there's always one day in April that there's a surprise snow. So I'm hoping we can avoid that maybe this year and just have sunshine from here on out.
That'd be nice. And you know, like when we were in school where you had to like, I don't know, put a spoon upside down under your pillow or like dance around in your inside out PJs or I don't know, whatever the like snow day or rain dances, all of those things. I wonder if there's like an anti-snow day dance.
I don't know. I might have to look that up after because I do not want the snow anymore. I am ready to move on from that.
I'm sure you could ask your students. That sounds like an elementary student thing.
I'm sure they'll have all kinds of tricks to give us.
Well, awesome. Yeah, it's so good to be seeing the sun for longer hours and everything. So yay, summer's on its way. Awesome. Well, before we get into our conversation for today, and we've got some good stuff coming up, and just want to encourage you to pop on over to our website, www.wanderlustingwives.com, where you can find more information about us. You can sign up for our newsletter, all of the things, and you can find really easy links to all of our episodes. So go back and get caught up if you're not already. Allie, anything else from your end?
Yes, so we just want to say thank you to everyone who has followed us on Instagram. We have officially reached over 200 followers, so thank you for that. Our giveaway has closed, so we won't be plugging that anymore. Hallelujah. But we do still want to give a plug for our social media in case you are not following us. We like to give updates about our episodes and just share some of our travels and more information about our guests on our Travel Tuesday episode. So you can find us on Instagram at Wanderlusting Wives, Facebook, Wanderlusting Wives Podcast, Twitter at Wanderlust Wives, and you're always welcome to email us. That is wanderlustingwives@gmail.com.
Sweet. We are all over the map, so check us out. All right. Well, we've got some Escape, we've got some Inspire, and we've got some Discover lined up for today. So let's kick it off with Escape. And I'm going to pull up our nice little handy-dandy wheel of possibilities here. So, Allie, are you ready?
I am feeling ready. The sunshine has got me feeling positive. I am ready to go.
Yes, we love that. All right, here we go. We are away. We are spinning. It has this nice little like sound that it makes. I know you can't really hear that. Ooh, yes. Oh my goodness. I've been so excited for this topic to come up. We have movies.
Oh, no.
This is a great topic because you know how open-ended this is? We can talk about literally anything we want to right now when it comes to movies. I am hyped right now.
But you know who you're talking to, right? I'm the person that falls asleep at the sleepover first. People draw mustaches on me while we're watching the movie. I haven't seen many movies because I'm sleeping.
You know what? That's okay because those few movies that you have seen, Like, I feel like we can still, like, when we're talking together, I know we talked, I just hit my microphone. But, like, were we talking about Avatar recently? Or what was the one that we were
Yes,
talking about recently?
we were. We were talking
Yeah.
about Avatar.
Okay, so let's start there.
Okay.
Avatar, The Way of Water. I would give it, like, honestly, like, it was a really long movie, and I thought it was really gorgeous. Like, I was just, like, enamored with the world that was created. I would honestly give it probably, like, an 8 out of 10. It was just really beautiful. Like, I loved everything that it was saying about environmentalism, colonialism, like, everything, like, nationalism, all of these different topics that are really important in our world, and they put them in this context of this, like, fantastical world, but in a way that still made so much sense, and, like, that I could see our planet in it. I became obsessed with the world of Avatar, and I had not seen the first one until I think a week before seeing the second one. So it was just, like, a really, like, I felt like I was taking part of something that's so big, like this national treasure almost.
Yeah, I would give it a 9, but I'm going to give it an 8.5 because as someone who does fall asleep very easily during movies, it was quite long. And I was at a movie theater that has the reclining chairs, so I was
Oh, that's,
just
yeah,
fighting sleep. It was, I think, like an 8 o'clock movie. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be hard to stay awake. But it just draws you in. And I also had not seen the first Avatar movie. So I was like, I don't really know what to expect. It's been so long since the first one came out, so it was really cool to see how technology had evolved. And I spent way more time than I ever have, like behind the scenes, because I was so fascinated with how they would do this, like animation, this 3D. How in the world were they doing this? And so seamlessly, it was phenomenal. I've watched so many videos of people holding their breath for so long, which is so dumb, but like you don't realize how much training went into this movie. And I was just in awe of the actors and actresses and, the technology. Like I keep saying, the technology was just, oh, wow, blew my mind. And I think this is just surface level of what technology can be in movies moving forward. This is just breaking the ice for what's to come. So I think it was groundbreaking in more ways than one.
totally. And like James Cameron, the director, like he said that he would not make another Avatar movie until the technology was where his imagination was. And so, like, even that too, like that dedication to mission and like goals, your personal goals, and not listening to like producers who might try to push it from a financial standpoint, but like really staying intentional about that creative journey. And I think that's what's really cool too about like sequels and everything. Star Wars is another great example of seeing how the original movies turned into these huge, like masterful sci-fi pieces. I think that's like one of the coolest things about series that take place over time. The technology, like you keep saying.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think too there's like it can really go either way. It can be a flop or it can be an absolute hit, and I think no pun intended, but I think it really blew itself out of the water with the second movie here. It was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it when it comes out wherever it's going to be streaming.
Totally. And I mean, speaking of sequels too, I know of two other sequels that I've seen recently that have blown my mind. I don't know if you've seen, so Glass Onion is one of them, the sequel to Knives Out, which like it's kind of an indirect sequel. It's sort of like Sherlock Holmes where the detective stays the same, but the rest of the characters are like not related to the first one necessarily. But brilliant. Brilliant movie. It's like a mystery, like some suspense, some social commentary. Like, really love it. Knives Out is one of my favorite movies. It's just so, so good. But Glass Onion, I watched this past weekend, and that was a great sequel. And then also Top Gun Maverick blew my, like, I literally had chest pain for like a week after watching that because I was not breathing during parts of that movie. Like the parts where they're literally in these airplanes. Like, these actors are in these airplanes doing all of this crazy things with like 8,000 G's. I don't think 8,000 G's exist, but that's what it seemed like. Like, oh my gosh, I was in awe. And like you were saying with Avatar, I spent so much time in the behind the scenes articles and videos because it just like, I could not believe they were actually doing that stuff.
Yeah, I have actually seen Top Gun. I have seen all of them. I watched them all like in a weekend. We regularly visit Nate, that's my husband's grandma, and dad who live in Erie, and we all watched it together, all of the Top Gun movies, and I was really impressed. I was like, oh, this doesn't really seem like something I'd want to watch. But I watched it, and wow, it was amazing. And I know there's a video, if maybe some of you have seen it, that a woman recently did like 9 Gs in a plane, and her face is like so discombobulated. It's crazy, and she didn't pass out, which can happen when they reach 9 or 10 Gs. So if you've seen that on the internet, it's pretty amazing. And if you've seen the movie as well, it's crazy.
Yeah.
These speeds that the planes can go to, and the fact that there's a point where you could die because you're going so fast, and
Precision.
they're pushing the odds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
And this is people's actual jobs. Like, people actually have jobs. Like, the actors, super impressive that they like learned these skills, and they literally had to like direct themselves and like, hey, angle the plane this way, and then I'm going to deliver this line. Like, that's really impressive. And then to think that there are actually people who exist whose job it is to fly this way. Like, for the military, thank you for your service. You are incredible people. If you are listening to this podcast and you are one of those people, my gosh, you have so much respect from me. That is, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think about myself trying to parallel park and the precision and the lack of precision I have with the car. I can't imagine flying at high speeds like that.
Honestly.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And then like kicking it back to like older movies or like other movies I've watched recently. Like, so I had flights to and from Phoenix, and on the way to Phoenix, I watched Clueless, which is such a throwback. I love that movie. And I watched Crazy Rich Asians, which is probably one of the best like rom-coms to come out of the past. I think that was like past 5 years. Like, oh my goodness, so good. But have you seen?
It's been a while. It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, I have seen it. Actually, I was watching it on a plane as well. I don't remember where I was going.
It's always on an airplane. Like, doesn't matter which airline. Crazy Rich Asians is always there, and A Star Is Born is always there. And oh my gosh, don't get me started on that.
I'm not trying to cry during this episode, okay?
Oh my gosh, it's so good though. Like, I haven't seen all the versions of it, but there's something about Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga and all of the new music for this newest version. Just, oh my gosh, heartbreaking, heartwarming, just like a roller coaster of emotions in 2.5 hours. It's so good.
Yeah, it keeps you drawn in from like the beginning to the end, and the music is really good like outside of the movie too, which sometimes I feel like is hit or miss. Like, it's really good in the movie, and then it's just it doesn't really go with my vibe outside of the movie, but the music is phenomenal.
It's so good, like on repeat. If I did not have Taylor Swift on repeat 24/7 pretty much post Taylor Swift concert, which by the way, it is a high that I have not come down from yet. But yeah, A Star Is Born is pretty frequently in my rotation. It's so good. If you had okay, and I know I hate this question, but if you had to name your favorite movie, and I know this changes over time for some people, what would you say?
This is a really hard one. Well, this is the elementary teacher in me, okay? So I absolutely loved and still do love Encanto.
So good.
Okay. So I'm sure I know there are plenty of other movies that are phenomenal, but I just love the animation, and like I've talked about before, like the representation in the movie is phenomenal. And I have students who request Encanto music all of the time because it's so catchy and fun and bubbly, and yeah, it's just an amazing movie. And again, the music is really fun too. I don't listen to it outside of, teaching, but I really do enjoy the music and like the representation that it has as well in that movie. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then, oh crap, what the heck is it called? I should know my favorites. Let me describe it. I can't think of the name right now.
Trivia. Yes.
It's like it has to do with a circus. Barnum
Greatest
and Bailey.
Showman.
What the heck? Yes, thank you. The Greatest
I like
Showman.
this game. Let's do it again.
One. I love The Greatest Showman. I find myself just like randomly singing the songs from the movie, and I'm like, I want to go watch that movie again. I love it so much. So even though I couldn't remember the name of it, but I do really enjoy The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
I think I really like kid movies. I think that's my problem.
I think you're more of a musical person than you think you are. That's what I'm observing.
I kind of had to be. You being my best friend throughout childhood, being on vacations with your family, we only listened to, musicals. So it's just, it's been ingrained in me, I think.
Yeah, it's a good place to be, honestly. It's good stuff. I'm also realizing that we have talked about movies for such a long time. We could probably do so many episodes on movies because it's just easy to talk about. But I think my favorite movie is Dirty Dancing. I adore that movie. I think the story's great. The acting is phenomenal. It's like just the right length for like a drama, like romance. And there are some really priceless scenes in it. Like the comedy is spot on. Like there's not a lot of comedy, but it's there. And when it is there, it's right on. Oh my gosh. It's a great movie. I know that's technically a classic at this point, but like, what really is a classic anymore? I don't really know, but yeah, that's definitely a good one. The soundtrack, oh, come on, you can't beat it. It's so good. But okay, cool. I'm gonna force myself and us to stop talking about movies, even though I could do this all day. To quote Captain America to wrap up our movie segment.
Oh gosh, here we go. Down another rabbit hole of movies.
Didn't even touch Marvel. Okay, so we are on to our Inspire segment. So we've got some highs and we've got some lows. Allie, do you want to kick us off?
And now a quick word from our sponsor. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up the most trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. The entire web becomes listenable for the first time, all in one place. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling and start listening. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, tech, business, science, Bitcoin, or even the Kardashians. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. And the best part, they have podcasts. Explore trending podcasts from over 80 countries. You can even find us there. I started using it as my default podcast app. They even have a digital radio. Download and use Newsly for free now at www.newsly.me or from the link in the description and use promo code WIVES. That's WIVES. And you can get a 1-month free premium subscription. You can find all this information in our description from this episode. And now back to our episode.
Yeah, so I will start with my high. And my husband, Nate, and I just recently took a weekend trip to Washington, D.C., which it's one of my favorite cities. I just love how clean it is. I know locals might be saying otherwise with the Cherry Blossom Festival, but I think it's a very clean city. The metro is so easy to navigate, especially compared to New York City, because there's like 5 trillion stops in New York City, and Washington, D.C. is like way calmer than that. So if you're, interested in trying to figure out a metro system, Washington, D.C. is a great place to start. It's a very easy map. Anyways, that's a whole tangent I did not plan to get on, but here we are. anyways, we took a weekend trip there for the Cherry Blossom Festival. I've been wanting to go for years now, and it was past peak bloom when we were there, but there were still plenty of trees that had flowers on them, and it was actually really pretty because a lot of the petals had fallen on the ground, so it was kind of like snow, but it wasn't cold and it wasn't snow, and it was beautiful. So that was really awesome. And we also went to a Washington Nationals baseball game for opening weekend, which was really fun. My husband's huge into fantasy baseball, so he got to see a lot of his players that are on his fantasy team play that weekend, and it was really nice to just enjoy DC and not feel like I had to go to all the museums or all the monuments or memorials, because I've already been to DC a couple times and have done those things, so it was nice to just kind of slow down and, just do a couple of things and just be there for the weekend. So that was really fun, and I highly recommend the Cherry Blossom Festival if you want to see DC in a new way. It's kind of hard to hit it at the right time because they can just make a prediction when the cherry blossoms will be in bloom, but still worth it if you live within driving distance. My low. Oh, yeah. I have debated whether or not I was going to share this, but I feel like as a teacher, as an American, as someone who has a very teeny tiny platform here on the podcast, it is something I should share. And last week, my school had a threat. As I'm sure all you know, lots of threats are being made to schools all over the country, whether they are real or fake. And I think it's time for change to start happening. I'm not going to get too political here, but I'm disappointed with how the situation was handled, the lack of resources that are out there to handle these situations, the protocols that are being put in place or not being put in place. And thankfully, this was just a fake threat, but being told that you need to get up and evacuate your building immediately is very scary. I had my couple minutes of crying, and then it just turned to complete anger and frustration because not enough is being done to protect us teachers or even our students. These kids, just think back to Sandy Hook, where that's kind of where it all began in my lifetime. I know Columbine was before that, but wasn't really around during that. So my first recollection is Sandy Hook and elementary students. It's impacting every school, grade level. There's really nowhere that feels safe in education anymore. And I even teach in a virtual school where I would assume that I would be the safest. And yet here I am practically running out the door after a potential threat or a fake threat, which happened to be fake. But I think there's a lot that needs changed in my own school and in this country. And I don't want to get too political, but I think it's time to start taking action, whether you are a teacher, you have kids in school, you are a human, and I hope that you care enough about other humans to want to fight for other people's lives. That is that. Before I become emotional about it, I will just leave it at that. And Regan, your highs.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Allie. I know that was really difficult, and I know that this platform here is meant to just be a space for us to be honest with our audience. And you know what? That's our truth, and that's your truth, and you have every right to share it. So thank you. I know that was tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my low, and I feel really bad going from a real legitimate issue in our country that we really need to start stepping up and doing something about it. But I'm going to be that person who's going to talk about their shattered iPhone.
Hey, it's okay, Sometimes that feels earth-shattering, so.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, my school, when I was in New York a couple weeks ago, we had a threat in our building also, and it's just like Allie and I were talking about before this, how it's just, why is this becoming the norm? Why is this normal? That, that's just what we have to deal with, and we're just going to be okay with that? Well, okay, yeah, my shattered iPhone. I was grocery shopping. I do everything that I can for my phone to like I have the glass screen protector, I have a case, I have everything like I protect it because I know that's a really expensive piece of technology and I don't want to be spending $800 on a new phone ever. But uh it accidentally got knocked out of my hand at the grocery store and it hit at the exact angle it needed to shatter my screen. There's literally like 2 centimeters between my screen protector and my case that it hit on. So unexpected trip to the Apple store and an unexpected bill to have my phone fixed, but it's all good. And nothing earth shattering, just my iPhone.
Well, was your grocery list on your phone?
It was, but my phone was still working, so that was good.
Okay.
All things considered, it was okay.
That's good, because that would be very, like, stressful if you had your list and then, oh, you can't see anything, because I know I rely heavily on my list. I do write on
Me
paper
too.
sometimes, but most of the time I write it in my notes, and yeah, if I couldn't see my list, I would be kind of screwed in the grocery store.
Totally. I would end up buying mostly just candles and not food, so
I just buy dessert, so
we're living our good lives if we lose our grocery list. But and then my high was really, I mean, I was away for a couple of weekends here, so this past weekend it was super, super nice to just kind of spend time with my little family. Like Nolan and I went out to dinner at one of our favorite places the other night. It's a cidery, and we just like had really good conversation, really good food, really good drinks, and then Saturday it was beautiful out, so got to get outside and go for a walk with Remy, my puppy. Washed glass onion, got to go to church for the first time in a while, and just like it was just really, really nice to have a weekend of connecting with my family again after being away for a while. I really do believe that there's something really powerful about missing somebody. I think that's something that we take for granted and we view in a negative light, but like I really appreciate opportunities to miss Nolan because it really does, like, I feel like it connects us more in that, like, realizing how much we appreciate one another in our lives and the things we contribute to our life together. So it was just a really great weekend of connection and catching up on chores and doing some fun stuff and not having an alarm to wake up to on Saturday, which is always, I welcome that any chance I can get it. So yeah, that's our Inspire segment, and we got some real highs and we got some real lows, and hopefully those lows turn into highs at some point as we, as a country, hopefully work our way towards reform. And yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we can only hope. But let's move on to something positive and fun, and yeah, I'm excited for this article.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right. Well,
can't wait to jump
tell us
in
about it.
Yeah, so this article is from Sunny Skies, and it says, Animal Shelter finds forever home for goat and dog duo. Now, if you could see this picture, you would be like, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. So the goat's name is Cinnamon, and the dog is Felix, and they are a bonded pair from North Carolina. Their owner had to give them up. They're unable to care for them any longer. And they have been put up for adoption. And someone decided that they were going to adopt them together, like they needed to be together. And someone was able to do that. And it is just the sweetest thing ever. And one of my favorite parts is that a nonprofit, Mr. Mo Project, they save senior dogs nationwide, and they decided that they're going to pay for Cinnamon and Felix health care for the rest of their lives.
That is just so cute. And also, like, the picture, it's like this, like, tannish colored goat, and then the dog looks like it might be some sort of pit bull, like Rottweiler, something that would be classified as, like, a bully breed, quote unquote. But, like, those breeds can be so misunderstood. Like, you can have a golden doodle that's mean. Like, any dog can be mean based on its situation and its trauma, because a lot of animals are abused at the hands of humans, and that's a whole other topic that just, like,
I was gonna say I'm already heated for this episode. Don't get me started.
I need to get on that.
I had two pit mixes, so I get it.
Yeah, and they're such sweet girls. Like, I haven't met Marley, but like Kira is just like the sweetest little dog. And you know, for this dog, who would typically be like, oh my goodness, keep that dog away from any other animal or human or anything, they're just so misunderstood. And the fact that this dog befriended a goat and like they're a bonded pair, like that is just, it warms my heart. It's so sweet.
I read too that they've been together like 24/7 since they've been you know, they met each other, and they even sleep together. Like, who would have thought a goat and a dog would just be cuddled up sleeping together? Like, how sweet is that? And it's not even a cattle dog. Yeah. Aw.
That's really sweet. And I think that was such a great note to end on for this somewhat heavy episode here.
Yeah. Whew, what an episode. But hey, hopefully people are not too offended by this episode. We just want to continually promote positivity and happiness, but also be real with you, because life's not perfect and we have a lot to learn personally and in this country. So if you want to continue the conversation, I would be happy to have that conversation in our DMs and our email. I am out there ready to fight for change. So anyone who's willing to connect with us, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to continue that conversation with all of you. But hopefully you enjoyed this episode and find some inspiration as always. And maybe you will go check out Cinnamon and Felix. Their picture is just adorable.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. Come escape with us again every other Tuesday for Travel Tuesdays and every other Wednesday for Wildcard Wednesdays.
Don't forget to give us a subscribe and a follow on all of our social media and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until next time, wander on.